Brenden, thank you for joining me this morning. Really appreciate it, man.
Always a pleasure. Good to see you.
What's that?
Good to see you.
Oh, yeah, good to see you. I have been watching a lot of the press on AI. You've got, I think, kind of two narratives. You've got one that, the Ed Dowd narrative where the bubble's going to pop. Andy Huff was also on that train saying the statistical risk of NVIDIA and OpenAI to the global economy is massive. And if they fail, the whole economy goes down. And then I've got the other side, Tom Teague here saying the golden age is coming and the productivity increases are going to be just out of the park. What do you say on this? What's your opinion?
The golden age is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the commodities, the thing is Todd, you and I have talked about it. Large language models are commodities, right? Simple, ask a question, get an answer is a commodity. But that's not where everything's going. It's going to agents and integrating multiple models and building models that are very specifically trained to do specific tasks, right? So the world has changed so much from, again, I built my first neural network 25 years ago, 26 years ago for the Department of Defense, doing computer vision and teaching large language models and natural language processing. But where the real discussion goes is a lot to do with the hardware and then the big companies and what they're doing specifically. So yeah, I mean, you've gone from CPUs to GPUs to TPUs to NPUs to LPUs, right? And everybody's building their own specific chips. And I think a lot of the challenge is, building massive data centers on NVIDIA GPUs, right, that suck up a lot of power. And then you've got, Elon building LPUs that are language processing units for what he's doing with Grok and X, and driving they're 40% less power than GPUs and 3 times faster for processing just specific text or language models, right? Versus GPUs that can do a lot of things. Google's got TPUs that actually drive their 80% less power. So now that you've got this kind of segmentation, where is it going? And it's really the companies that are leading and training models, not just on generally available data, right? Everybody's getting smarter on scraping the web and learning from the data that's out there. But organizations like Google, who are building like Amy, right? Amy is Artificial Medical Intelligence Explorer, and they're training AIs just to focus on medical exploration and genome and how to actually get smarter to treat human beings with rare diseases, right? That's the value add, right? And that's where it's really going. And finally, it's really agents, right? I mean, I started developing using Cursor, right? And then I used Claude. And now I'm using OpenAI and Codex. And instead of just using one, I actually develop using Claude and I test with Codex. And in certain things, Codex is better than OpenAI because they use multiple agents. So I think as all of this goes, really the industry is changing to be much more targeted towards solving specific problems versus generically answering a question on a phone or on a laptop, which does become commoditized. But these big companies are smart enough and targeted enough to build real value in specific areas that will change the world.
I had an interesting experience with Codex yesterday. We had a bug in one of our sites and we couldn't figure it out. And so my tech guy used that option, and it said, oh, they found out there's a bug in the last WordPress update. It hasn't been released yet, but here's the fix. And boom, it was done. Like literally within a couple minutes.
Yeah, so Codex is obviously OpenAI teamed
Yeah.
up with Microsoft, who owns GitHub, which is
Hmm.
where all coding lives, right? So
Yeah.
it's the training data set is superior to anybody else's, right?
Hmm.
So
Fascinating.
Claude has been fantastic. And I do projects myself that used to take 12, 15 developers.
Hmm.
Claude's doing most of the work.
Hmm.
Now Codex, I'm actually impressed, and I'm shifting to using Codex as the main, but I still want to make sure that AI is checking AI and I'm checking both AIs, right?
Yeah.
So
Wow. Well, you mentioned Claude and Anthropic. What's with the national security argument that's going on with the Trump administration right now? The fight that's happening with them.
yeah, I mean they stepped on their toes by releasing you know, their code to the
Yeah.
world, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know
Yeah.
how you can trust an organization that
Mm.
actually does that.
Yeah.
They just don't. So, and as they did, they released um, code that you know opens them up to additional threats and anybody using it additional threats.
Mm.
So, I mean, I get it that Anthropic wants to be viewed as the ethical um, platform, but
Hmm.
you're taking a big leap. I don't agree with them. I think the DoD and the government have guidelines, and I think that also you saw that the Fable and the Mythos got pulled back. Right, it's unavailable because of
Hmm.
some things that were identified that were um, they released and pulled it back because of threats. So
Yeah.
I think they need to tighten the ship a little bit more before you know, um, I want to use them in certain scenarios like the Department of Defense. So I think
Yeah.
that DoD made the right choice, right? Because of those things.
Well, Claude was the one where and I don't know the specifics where it like a guy was using it or a business and it just wiped out their code, like
Yeah.
in all the backups and everything. And then it said, "Yeah, I did I did something wrong or something." Like that. I mean, it's like, hello, So
Again, that's why, I use multiple AIs
yeah,
until one proves itself. But
yeah,
Um, again, you're still early days. I mean,
sure,
2022 to now, you've got 3.5, 4 years of AI. The internet took much longer, and the golden age will be here. Right? AI is being integrated in everything. You're starting to see the productivity gains,
hmm,
but over the next 18 months to 24 months, it'll be immense. And I'll give you one story. I mean, there's a
hmm,
chair behind me, and my son has been sitting in it. He's a junior in high school, and we're here in Michigan for lacrosse because he's
hmm,
getting recruited. And he goes, "Dad, why?" Because this summer I'm teaching him how to train and build AI. And he goes, "Why would I go to college?" Right? I mean, if I have these skill sets, why would I go to college? Right? I'm like, "Oh, the
good
experience
question.
and
Yeah,
lacrosse and to have fun." He's like, "But I can make money doing this." Right?
sure,
And the real shift is these companies are providing knowledge, right? All the AIs are smarter than every human being, and everybody's got access to it. I don't care how smart you are, right?
hmm,
My dumb sophomore in high school, right, has access to amazing knowledge and power, and all he has to do is ask and get help from agents. And if you know how to do that, the productivity and the changes that are available to people who are taking advantage of it are immense. So as that takes hold, the golden age is here, and all these organizations who are building massive data centers, they understand that. And we look at it as from just kind of sitting inside the United States,
hmm,
but we are the leader of the world, right, as this goes. So all of Europe, I mean, it's being controlled by a very small handful of companies. And don't count out, because I am testing and doing a bunch of stuff and analyzing the Chinese AIs and looking at what they're doing. But you know, Anthropic, OpenAI, you know, XAI, Grok, all of these are changing the world. And you have yet to see the real power of AI agents and the productivity changes that it's going to deliver over the next 24, 36 months.
Looking forward to it. Claude and Grok. I tried a project. It was very basic, just to create a logo with some changes. Grok really had a hard time, and I couldn't get it to work. I went to Claude; it did it immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, why is that? I mean, what's going on with
well,
Grok?
again, Elon's focused on his LPUs, right?
Uh-huh.
And X, right?
Right.
Language models. He's not focused on graphics, right?
Interesting. Okay.
And Claude has certain capabilities that others are focused on, and that's just it. I don't think, you know, you don't have to cater to solving all AI problems with one platform. People will not end up using one platform. It's not like I'm a Claude user. I'm also a Grok, Perplexity, OpenAI, right? If I want to write something, I use OpenAI. I use ChatGPT, right? If I want to actually create something visually, I'm using Gemini. Gemini 2.0 is amazing, right? Nana Banana, right? All of these things from a creative side is just greater than Claude and others. So, and then I actually built my own agent that says, okay, if I want to do something, what do I need to do? I'll use 5 different platforms to build a company, right? But you can't do it with one, right? And
that's fascinating.
That's the power. I mean, that's why they'll all survive, but they'll end up creating niches that solve specific problems, right?
Well, that kind of like siloed future is a good thing, because you want AI to not be controlled by one company, right? You want checks and balances, or am I missing something?
No, absolutely. You don't want one AI.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
yeah.
So we've all seen Terminator,
Yeah.
but basically, yeah, using multiple AIs, and now all the AI companies, you know, are finding their niches and their.
I'm a naturopathic doctor. We are in the world of medicine very acquainted with many modalities, but probably the one most familiar with everybody would be 2 things: homeopathy and herbals or herbs, maybe some nutrients too, you know, vitamins, minerals, that kind of thing. Now, we do know a lot about the drugs, because we have to find out what drug you're taking affects you and what nutrient it depletes you of, because most every drug pharmacy product will deplete something. So we have been trained, and we have a database that we can check into that says this is going to take your B12 away. The pharmaceutical company cannot patent organic substances made by the body. You're not born short of Advil. You know, you're not born short of Ritalin.
Yeah.
You can be born short of insulin, right? The answers to staying healthy and keeping away from even SARS or any of those things getting into you is staying healthy. You and I get sick because our terrain gets out of balance. Well, that's the same thing in the soil. You and I are made from this thing called dirt. And when we get out of balance, we have the same thing happen. Weeds start to grow in our body. Right? And that's what we want in our body. We want nutrients that we don't understand how to get well enough yet, because our suppliers are lacking knowledge on nutrient density foods. So
this is what drove you to develop this, was your knowledge of this, right?
Right. You know that.
Their niches and their ways.
Mhm.
And I've always been impressed. I think Google was late to the charge, but I think Google's actually making the smartest decisions on their focuses of materials engineering, medical. Um, you know, Google has the genome, the graph network for materials exploration AI, right? And they've identified over 2 million new materials that could be used in manufacturing. I mean, it's just
Wow.
fascinating, but segmenting AIs and training AIs differently for different purposes, and that's where Grok is great on one aspect. Um, and I would never count out Elon and what he's
Yeah.
planning on doing over the next 5-10 years
So what would you
with
say
SpaceX.
is Grok's, what is Grok's like basket? I mean, what are they really good at?
Just natural language problems, like answering questions, text,
Mhm.
speech,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
Which is text, right? And again, my view is that Elon will ultimately create mobile phones, right?
Hmm.
And through Starlink, you'll have access all over the world
Mhm.
inexpensively, and that the way that you will communicate with your AI is text and voice, right? Through his AI, right?
Hmm.
And then if you want to do something specific, more scientific, you'll go over to Claude or Google or anybody else, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
ultimately, he will take advantage of Starlink communications, the frequencies that he owns around the world to create a global communications network of voice and text. And that's what he's training for and building for.
Do you think that will have a surveillance component to it, or will he push us more in a free speech
With
direction?
him, I doubt it.
Yeah,
If
which is a
if
good
it was
thing.
somebody else, I would be worried. But
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Hmm. That's optimistic. I have a friend who's a refugee. I won't give his name, but from a war-torn country. He came to the U.S. He had brought his wife, but she wanted to go back. She left him. So he's like very smart guy, but he built a relationship with Gemini, and it's like Blade Runner. I mean, he talks to this thing when he comes home at night. I mean, they have conversations. She gives him, you know, support emotionally, and it's wild, you know.
yeah. I mean, I actually, again, I think that the winner in this are Google and I'll throw out a name, Microsoft,
Hmm.
right?
Interesting,
Um,
because they
and
missed the whole internet, right? They missed the internet. Maybe they're getting this wave.
No, I mean they have large data centers. They're big, but what's going on is that they won because of um, they they they're the leader with Google in quantum computing, right?
Hmm.
And the next phase of this is AI and quantum, where you're asking questions to solve, and AI can solve it, right? But if you add quantum computing and the capabilities, it will be solved 10,000 times faster, right?
Wow.
And the chips that they've just created and the abilities that they're doing right now, it'll end up looking like PCs versus mainframe computers, right? And everybody went to mainframes in large corporate environments. And they and Google are leading the charge on quantum computing, and some organizations in China. But I think those two organizations, Microsoft and Google, when it comes to the commoditization of certain AIs, the compute environment will change with quantum computing over the next 3 to 5 years,
Hmm.
and then you will see what goes on next. I mean, AI plus quantum is the answer.
Wow. On data centers, I was listening to Mr. Wonderful and Tucker. What's his name? Kevin O'Leary, I think, talking about that China. You mentioned China. Yes, we have a lot more data centers than them, but they are building massive ones that have much more capability. So one of theirs is worth 10 of ours. So do you agree with that kind of concept of where they're going?
I agree that they are racing to become the leaders,
Hmm.
and who knows, they might get there. Again,
Hmm.
they're very close on quantum computing, DeepSeek, and other AIs that have come out of China are as good,
Hmm.
and in some cases better. Um, but I don't know that they're winning the race. I think the amount of capital going into U.S. companies is far superior than what's going there. And I think, the race is on, and I the U.S. needs to win. U.S. companies need to win, and the U.S. government needs to support and make it easier for U.S. companies to get the power, the permits needed to ensure that we're winning the AI and quantum race.
Well, that's been my point, with the Iran war and everything. I wasn't for the war, but now that we're in it, we need to win it. We need to come out with a good situation here. And same with AI. I mean, because the future of our children is depending on that, right? I mean, especially with AI, because
Yeah, and I think, look, as far as Iran goes, the the Iranian people, the Persian, they are fantastic.
I agree.
They
Hmm.
one of the most well-educated, enlightened
Hmm.
societies. Their
Hmm.
leadership is awful, right?
Hmm.
Um, so hopefully that turns around. But again, it's all about power right
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
because of the data centers. I think, who was it? Microsoft announced a natural gas uh, agreement today.
Mm.
To power new data centers. It it really is, the race, and I think, again, back to it, the U.S. government needs to streamline to ensure that the power is there for the data centers, right? And the not in my backyard fear of data centers. We've got, you got to build a lot of data
Mhm.
centers, and I still think we're leading there. But China understands that to win globally, the battle really is led by AI.
What about nuclear? Why, what is it, Okio or whatever, this, modular nuclear? Why aren't they, is it just technology's just not there? Why do they need to drain the grid when they can just put a nuclear reactor in there?
I have no idea. The
Yeah.
first nuclear facility in 30 years was approved in Wyoming. The
Yeah.
governor there is fantastic, and that was um, Bill Gates
Mhm.
and um, who else? But they building small facilities. It's safe. They
Mm.
should be building lots more. But I think people keep thinking of 3 Mile Island
Yeah.
and the big old facilities. That it's not the case anymore, and they should be
Yeah.
building them as fast as possible.
What about space, data centers in space? Elon's talking about this, and that, a lot of it will move up here, and we can make the Earth green again. Any thoughts on that?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody else can pull that off, right?
Yeah.
What, 90% of payloads that have been delivered to space in the last 5 years have been done by SpaceX. Um, and then with what he's doing and the ability for him to actually deliver low cost up there,
Hmm.
um, it's cold, it's got the sun, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
He's built the technology, and ultimately, that's why he is the first trillionaire, right?
Hmm.
And I think the shift will be there. And again, I think that he will control a he does already, but I mean, I have a Starlink that I use as a backup, and
Hmm. Me
my
too.
son uses Starlink. My sister uses Starlink. Right? Once you start getting that, he will win. He will win.
So interesting. A couple years ago, you told me with AI, or maybe it was a year ago. Just use AI to do short news clips and create avatars. And I did that with HeyGen, and it's amazing. I sit there and type 3 sentences. It creates a video. I put it on. It goes to Insta. It's just
Just
amazing.
wait. Yeah. And it's getting better and better and better, every day. I mean,
True.
think of the number of generations that have come from Anthropic and Google. This isn't we release a new model once a year. This is we release a new model and new capabilities, right? There's announcements from the leaders almost weekly, right?
Hmm.
And they're racing to, again, you go to commoditization, they're racing to get AI to be embedded in everything. We're getting there.
Yeah, it's
So
fascinating. Anything else? And tell me where people can follow your work and how they can help you.
yeah, I mean, I'm available at AI Teamwork.
Hmm.
Take AI and work with it. So create a team of AI agents in your business. So you can go
Wow.
to aiteamwork.com. We build AIs. I've got another couple of other companies that I'm launching that have all been built by AI, crypto company and some other things. But yeah.
Last question. I lied. This is the last question. You mentioned crypto and quantum. Would you be buying crypto here, or because of the quantum risk, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'm launching a real world asset backed crypto, but it's backed by real estate, a fractional
I
ownership
remember that. Yeah.
in homes. So one for one. So it's I think it's where crypto is going, right?
Hmm.
Versus meme coin
Right.
kind of
Garbage. Yeah.
tokens garbage. So there's a couple of cryptos that will survive. But I think the shift to real world assets, the Clarity Act is helping that out. And yeah, I'd be buying certain cryptos here. I think,
Tokenization, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Brenden, thank you so much, man. Have you back down the road. Really appreciate it. Your insight.
great.
Take care. Ciao.